Okay, so let's be real. We are hearing about the incredible power of AI everywhere, all the time. But how do you actually take all that hype and turn it into a real functioning business? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a simple, actionable blueprint to do just that.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, right? It perfectly captures that frustration so many of us feel. There's this huge gap between all the talk about AI and actually doing something with it. Our goal today is to give you the framework to finally bridge that gap.
All right, so first things first, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. We are right in the middle of what you could call an AI gold rush. And believe me, it is your single biggest opportunity right now.
And look, that is not an exaggeration. Why? Well, think about it. Companies, everyone from tiny startups to massive corporations, they're all in this frantic race to automate boring work, to slash their costs, and just get an edge over the competition. They are actively looking for solutions, and they are more than willing to pay for them. Okay, so the opportunity is huge. We get that. But how do you actually grab a piece of it? How do you get started? Well, it really comes down to one incredibly simple secret. A core idea that just cuts through all the noise and all the complexity.
This right here, this is the myth that stops almost everyone dead in their tracks. We see AI and we immediately think we need some giant, complicated product, a whole team of PhD engineers, and millions in venture capital just to have a shot.
But the truth? It's so much simpler than that. You don't need any of that stuff to start. All you really need is one real, specific problem that's actually worth solving. Okay, but how do you know if you found a good problem? One that's a perfect fit for AI. You just run it through this simple little filter, the better, faster, cheaper test. Does your solution solve the problem better, faster, or cheaper than a human is doing it right now? If it doesn't check at least one of those boxes, it's probably not a great AI business idea. Seriously, that's it. It's that simple.
Right. So you found your problem, it passes the test. Now what? How do you turn that into an actual business? This is where the blueprint comes in. Turns out there are really just 3 clear paths you can go down to turn that problem into profit.
And honestly, this is the key. Forget all the crazy, complicated stuff you see online. Almost every single successful AI business that exists today can be boiled down to one of these 3 simple models. So let's break them down.
All right, path number 1, the AI automation agency. All this means is you build and sell automated systems or workflows to other businesses. For example, just imagine a small online store, and they are just drowning in customer support emails. You could come in and build them an AI chatbot that handles, say, 80% of those questions instantly. The demand for this is absolutely massive, which makes it one of the fastest ways to get started.
Next up, we've got path number 2, AI SaaS, or software as a service. Now, the key here is not to think you need to build some giant, complicated platform. Nope. Instead, you create a simple little tool that uses AI to solve one specific problem extremely well. And it's so important to remember that even the biggest AI tools we all use today, they started just like this, as tiny, focused solutions to a single problem.
And finally, path number 3 is all about AI content and branding services. This one is just perfect for all the creatives, designers, and marketers out there. You're basically using AI as your superpower to create content, design assets, or even entire marketing systems for clients. Can you imagine offering a branding package where you can generate 50 different logo variations in an hour? That's the kind of speed and scale that businesses are desperate for. So this little table here breaks it all down really clearly. You can see the AI agency has a really low barrier to entry, which is awesome for people who just love building systems and processes. The AI SaaS model, a little more technical, yeah, but the scalability is through the roof, perfect for product builders. And then the AI content path, another really accessible option, is ideal for creatives. So just take a second and ask yourself, okay, which one of these sounds more like me?
Okay, so you found a problem, you've picked a path, now for the big question, right? What stuff do you actually need to build this? Let's talk about the essential, no-nonsense tech stack.
And you're going to notice a theme here. It's all about simplicity. It is so easy to get lost in a sea of different AI tools, but you do not need dozens of them. You really only need 4 core components to get almost any AI business off the ground.
It all just boils down to these 4 pillars. You've got the AI model, that's kind of the brain of the whole operation. Then the automation platform, that's like the nervous system connecting everything, telling it what to do. The no-code builder is the face, the website or the app that your customer actually sees and uses. And finally, the data source is just the memory, where all your information is stored.
And to make this super concrete, here are some of the big names you've probably already heard of. For the AI models, you've got OpenAI or Claude. For automation, things like Zapier or Make are fantastic. For the no-code builders, you could use Webflow or Bubble. And your data source can be as simple as a Google Sheet or Airtable. And here's the really powerful part. With just one tool from each of these columns, you can build almost any of the businesses we just talked about.
All right, so we've laid out the entire blueprint. Now for the most important part. What is your first step? How do you actually put all of this into action?
When you strip everything else away, it comes down to this simple little mantra. First, find a real problem that passes that better, faster, cheaper test. Second, pick the path that feels right for you, agency, SaaS, or content. And third, grab your tools and just start building.
Look, at the end of the day, the game has changed. The challenge isn't about understanding the technology anymore, it's about applying it. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to chew on. What's one simple, annoying problem you face every single day that AI could solve? Because the answer to that might just be your next business.
All right, let's talk about AI. If you're running a business, you are hearing about it nonstop. I mean, it is absolutely everywhere. But with all the hype, all the noise, how do you actually make it work for you? How do you go from just talking about AI to actually building something strategic with it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. And for a lot of people, that's exactly what it feels like, right? It's this giant, powerful, game-changing thing. But it feels like a puzzle that got dumped on your desk with half the pieces missing and no picture on the box to guide you. There's all this pressure to use it, total confusion on where to even begin, and this very real fear of getting left behind. It's a huge challenge, and it's one that pretty much everyone is facing. But what if there was a way to organize all that chaos? The source for our breakdown today, which is called the Smart AI Business Blueprint, suggests that there really is a clear path. A way to turn that messy puzzle into a solid, concrete plan. So, what is this path? Let's get into it. Okay, so the source material really boils its whole philosophy down to these three incredibly powerful promises. First, getting clarity in all the chaos. Second, building systems that can actually scale up. And third, finding that definitive blueprint for success. These are the three pillars we're about to unpack. So let's start with that very first promise, which honestly is the most important one of all. Getting clarity. Because without it, nothing else can happen. This is all about finding the signal in the noise. Now, this first promise, it's not about you becoming an expert on every single AI model out there. No way. Instead, the focus is on getting crystal clear on what AI means specifically for your business, for your goals, for your customers. It means you have to ask some really sharp questions, like, what specific problem are we trying to solve here? Is it a bottleneck in customer service? Is it a marketing campaign that's just not working? You've got to name the problem before you can throw AI at it. This right here, this shows you the whole transformation. It's about moving from that before state of just confusion and overwhelm, where you're constantly chasing the newest, shiniest tool, to the after state of proactive focus. And this isn't just a change in mindset. It's a huge strategic shift. It's the difference between guessing where to put your time and money and knowing with confidence exactly where they'll make the biggest impact. But clarity is just the starting line. It's the launch pad. The real goal is to turn that new understanding into real, tangible results. And that brings us to the next part of this whole framework, building a blueprint that is designed for scale. The key word here, the one I want you to really hear, is systems. We are not talking about little one-off AI experiments or some cool tech demo that gets forgotten in a week. No. This is about weaving AI into the actual fabric of your business, into processes that are repeatable, reliable, and built for growth. The goal isn't a temporary spark. It's a sustainable fire. And this leads us to the final piece of the promise, the ultimate prize. The source doesn't just call it a plan. It calls it the blueprint everyone is searching for. Now, that's a bold statement, right? It suggests there's this structured, repeatable guide to success that so many businesses are out there desperately trying to find. So let's be super clear about what blueprint actually means here. We're not talking about a vague goal on a whiteboard. A blueprint is a detailed, strategic plan for putting AI to work. It's the architecture for your success. It's designed to take all the guesswork out of growth and replace it with an intentional, well-designed path forward. Okay, so we've looked at the three core promises from the source: getting clarity, building for scale, and finding that blueprint. Now, let's put all these pieces together and see what this framework actually looks like when it's fully assembled. So here it is, the whole thing in 3 logical steps. It all kicks off with clarity. You have to know exactly where you're going and why. That clarity is what lets you develop a strategic blueprint. And then, critically, that blueprint must be designed from day one to scale. See how each step builds on the last? It has to happen in this order. I mean, you can't scale confusion, and you can't build a meaningful blueprint if you're stuck in the dark. And that brings us to the big question, the one that this whole idea is built around. Once you get past all the hype, once you actually have a genuine blueprint in your hands, what becomes possible? The conversation shifts from just using AI to strategically creating with it. And that, right there, is the incredible potential this framework is designed to unlock.
You see these AI businesses popping up and just taking off, right? And you wonder, how are they doing it so fast? Well, I'm going to let you in on a secret. It's not about having tons of cash or some crazy complex technology. Nope, it's about a simple, proven blueprint. So let's dive right in and break down the exact 7 steps the top founders are using to absolutely crush it.
Okay, but before we get to the good stuff, the solution, we've got to talk about the problem. Because there's one single massive mistake that just sinks so many new AI companies before they even have a chance. Seriously, it's the most common trap out there, and our goal today is to make sure you steer clear of it.
So let's just ask the question straight up. I mean, with all this hype, all these incredible tools at our fingertips, why do most AI startups just fizzle out? You might be surprised to hear that the answer is actually really simple. And get this, it has almost nothing to do with the tech.
And here it is. This is the absolute core of the issue. It's that temptation, that desire to build something huge right from day one. You know, the all-in-one, world-changing platform. But that path, it just leads to wasted time, wasted money, and building a product that, honestly, nobody really asked for. It's what I call the ambition trap.
So, okay, if building big is the mistake, then what's the solution? Well, it's to do the exact opposite. Start incredibly small and stay super focused. And that is what this 7-step blueprint is all about. It's a framework that is perfect for AI, because the tech is moving at lightning speed and what customers need is changing all the time. When you start small, you can learn and pivot way faster than the big guys.
And listen, this isn't just some theory from a book. What we're about to walk through is the exact playbook that successful founders are using in the real world, like right now. It's a straight line from a simple idea to a business that actually works and makes money. All right, you ready? Let's jump into step 1.
Okay, step 1. This is the bedrock of everything. You have to find a painful problem. And I really mean painful. We're not talking about cool ideas here. Forget that. We're looking for genuine, frustrating business pain. The kind of annoying, inefficient task that a company is already spending time and money on just trying to solve it. Think about mind-numbing data entry, answering the same customer questions over and over, or manually building reports. If the pain is real, believe me, they're already looking for an aspirin. And that's where you come in.
Now, before you even think about building anything, not one line of code, you have to validate that this pain is real. And how do you do that? You talk to people, actual, real-life potential customers. Ask them about the problem. Ask them, so how are you handling this right now? And if you hear that sigh, that frustration in their voice, if they start complaining about their current workaround, boom, you've just struck gold.
All right, now this part is super important. Notice the word I'm using is workflow, not product. You are not building a big, complicated app with a million features. No, you are designing a simple, repeatable process. Think of it like this. Something goes in, that's input A, the AI does its thing, and something valuable comes out, that's output B. Your only job, your entire focus, is to make that process better, faster, or cheaper than whatever they're doing now. That's it.
Okay, so once you've got that workflow figured out, you need a front door for your business. And that's just a simple one-page website, a landing page. And the formula here is super clear, don't overcomplicate it, a killer headline that screams, here's the value, a short little sentence on what it does, and one and only one big obvious button, a single call to action. No clutter, no distractions, just a straight path for anyone who's interested.
All right, now for the moment of truth. You need to get that workflow in front of a few real users. And I'm not talking about hundreds of people, just 5. That's it, 5 real people. And then you watch. You watch them use it. You see where they get confused, what makes them smile. You just listen to what they have to say. I'm telling you, this one step will teach you more than months and months of just guessing and building all by yourself.
So once you've proven that the workflow is valuable with those first few users and you've tweaked it based on their feedback, it's time to fire yourself from the process. Seriously, the goal now is automation. You have to build the system so it can deliver that result all on its own, without you having to be in there manually pulling levers every single time.
And here we are, the final step. This is what transforms your little automated workflow into a real, scalable business. It's all about building the support structure around it. We're talking about things like clear onboarding that shows new users exactly what to do, writing helpful documentation so they can find answers themselves instead of emailing you for everything, and, of course, setting up a solid support channel for when they really do need help. See, these aren't just features. They're the systems that let you grow beyond just a handful of customers.
Okay, so that's the blueprint, the 7 steps. But you're probably thinking, does this stuff actually work in the real world? Well, let's take a look. Here are a few quick examples of simple, super focused AI businesses that are absolutely killing it right now by following this exact playbook.
Okay, check this one out. An AI customer support bot. Now this thing doesn't try to replace the whole customer service team, not at all. It just solves one incredibly painful problem, answering the same handful of questions over and over and over again. It's a perfect example of a high-impact workflow that saves a ton of human time and energy.
Or how about this? Every content creator knows this pain. You spend hours making one great video, but then you've got to turn it into a blog post, a bunch of tweets, a LinkedIn article. It's a huge headache. Well, this AI service just automates that whole painful process. One video goes in and boom, 20 pieces of content come out. That is a focused workflow delivering massive value.
Here's another one. Sales teams are just drowning in leads, right? And half of them aren't even a good fit. So imagine an AI that instantly filters all those new leads and sends a perfect first response automatically. That solves a hugely expensive and time-sucking problem. It's simple, it's targeted, and it's valuable from day one. And this last one is a brilliant example. Instead of some super complicated business intelligence dashboard that you need a PhD to understand, this is just an AI assistant. It reads the reports for you and sends you the important insights every morning. It's insight without the work. Are you seeing the pattern here? Every single one of these businesses started small and focused.
So, what's the big idea that ties this blueprint and all these examples together? It's this core philosophy. Starting small isn't a weakness. It's your secret weapon. It is, without a doubt, the fastest way to build something people actually want and will pay for.
And that's not just some nice-sounding idea, it's a fact. You go and look at the AI companies that are really growing fast, the ones with real momentum, and you'll see this in their DNA. They didn't start out by trying to boil the ocean. They started by picking one problem and solving it incredibly well.
So, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this mantra. I want you to burn this into your brain. It's simple. 1 painful problem, 1 simple workflow, and 1 customer. That's it. That is the entire game right there. Which, of course,